Welcome back to Let's Talk Tuesday. This is the podcast where we have real conversations about learning, leadership, and what it truly takes to help people and organizations grow. Each week, we bring together different perspectives, experiences, and voices to explore what learning development really means, why it matters, and how we can do it better. Today we have a very special guest, Amruta Tamhane, originally from India, now in Danbury, Connecticut, who has over 13 years of experience as a biotech scientist and a project manager. Welcome, Amruta.
Hi.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you today. Tell us a little bit about your background and what your current focus is today.
So I have studied biology at NYU when I came in here as a student. And then I worked as a technical support representative. That was my first job with DNA sequencing. So like more like just applying my wet lab biology skills and taking it to professional world. I worked there for almost like three years. I was promoted to be a team lead in that same position in that same company, and then I moved on to different part of United States. Came back up here. This was in Alabama, and then I moved back up here to New Jersey, to the East Coast, and I worked as a senior associate scientist here for almost 4 years. That was the largest long part of my journey as a scientist. And then after that, I moved back to Alabama, had family back there, so that's why the move. And I worked there as a project manager. This was my most recent job before. And this was the job that clicked. Like this was the job that I liked doing. I enjoyed working as a project manager, as like managing, doing all the tasks as compared to all of my previous jobs. So I knew at that point, like this is where I want to take my career forward with. And I started doing a lot more into project management. Started pursuing the PMP, and looking forward to my job. And then there was a break, a family break. Had kids, had to take a break, so I took a break, and I'm back right now working as a contractor, and also with a major semiconductor industry, and I'm working as project manager with them, and it's exciting. It's a recent position, and I enjoy it as we go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because you come from the science background and biology, as you mentioned, and then kind of got pulled into consulting, into project management and the learning development world. So, what does learning development mean to you?
Um, this was a new field to me. Like I have not worked with learning and development, and it was particularly interesting as it started like as a informal communication. I learned a lot more from my husband, who was kind of involved in learning and development as a part of his training. And it was interesting. I was like, okay, this is fun. Like this is lot of things you can learn. For me, learning and development means it's more like sharpening your skills to do your job better. You get to like your learning skills, you're taking trainings. It's not just training, it just tells you how to do your job better, how develop. Like with AI world that we are all stepping into, it is important to have something that you are show the world how you are different than the actual AI world tell you about. So I think it's more like sharpening your skills, having people understand what you're getting into, like building relationships, getting all through that. That's what I feel like learning and development is to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And why do you think it's so important, especially in today's world?
So with everything is changing pretty quickly. We have a very, and this is the age of AI where there's going to be a lot of changes moving forward as compared to the age that we come from. So I feel like with a lot of things changing rapidly, it is good to, and also to retain your job, you do need to sharpen your skills more frequently as compared to what you have been doing so far. I've been working with the same company, same job for like 4 years in my past career, but I think life is going to be a lot different moving further. It is going to change. Like, so if you do want to maintain your job, do you want to have your skills, you do need to sharpen your skills. on a very regular basis as compared to once a year or like very not very often. So I feel like it is necessary. It should be a part of your day to day, is what I feel like. Have those trainings and stuff going on with it.
Yeah, and it's so true. It's so interesting because to your point, it used to be when you would get learning development because you were going to a new job or you
Yeah,
were looking for a promotion or you're trying to better yourself. Now, to keep your existing job, you need to stay up with it. You need to create these micro learning opportunities where you're progressing daily instead of even quarterly or annually. And so
right.
it's staying on top of the latest and greatest. What do you wish companies knew or did differently as it relates to learning and development?
Same thing. I don't think all the companies, I feel like most of the companies are using it as to onboard new people right now as compared to having it a part of day to day, like regularly. So I feel like if they would make learning and development a part of their curriculum, like a part of your training, it's not a training that you have to take, but it is something that you should be doing it on regular basis. You do need to give employers time and the permission to learn. If they are going to be, because we are so busy, once you get onboarded you are busy working on your job and responsibilities, and those keep adding, and there's like deadlines and there's like a lot of things that you have to maintain. But I feel like companies should realize that this is something required. It's a required skill, and it needs to be done every few I don't want to put a timeline to it, like every few months, like every recurring basis, as compared to like a quarterly, timely, yearly, or as a new employee. I feel like that would make a huge difference in like retaining the employee more. They would more to learn. I feel like everybody wants to progress, everybody wants to get a promotion. Not everybody want to like go through the entire process that we go through. So if it is something that is built in daily, like in your curriculum, I feel like that would make a huge difference in employer retention, in having more skilled employees, as compared to somebody who's going to have to take their personal time off to learn about the new skills or new how to get better with the AI coming
Yeah, one
in.
of the organizations that I helped, we did this major rollout for, and kind of the key piece that you're talking about is like that strategic alignment of how are your people progressing forward and ensuring that your organization is getting better because your people are getting better. And one
Yeah.
of my favorite organizations I worked with as a client, they're about 10,000 people. They're solely based in the US, actually, which is unique. Most of my clients are global, but they are only in North America, in the US specifically, 10,000
Yeah.
people across the board. And they literally bake into their job descriptions. And this was years and years ago, that they allocate their billable consultants, and they allocate a certain amount of their hours have to be logged each week for development purposes and what they're developing. And so it's not just, I think in the past, it was kind of they had to have some kind of personal professional development baked into
Right.
their weekly hours. And they then took it a step further once I got involved with them because I was like, okay, it's great to have this. It's great to have this baked in. But if you're
Yeah.
leaving it as a free for all, then yes, it's a strategy, but it's a loose strategy. Whereas we can tighten this up and really do this like role specific. We can do making sure that it's aligned and with business outcomes and objectives, etc. And then giving that autonomy, giving that flexibility of the different types. But you can't just say, for example, I have a LinkedIn learning license and
Yeah.
I love it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to use it so much. Ask me how much I use my LinkedIn learning license. And so because it's like do anything, right? Whereas we
Yeah.
actually created these learning paths, these strategies based off of role, based off experience of like, hey, here's some pathways where that way you can engage the learner, you can retain them because they're being invested in, but you also give them that autonomy of like they want to learn this topic. And so you give
Right.
them some options, but humans don't do well with just do anything. People go
Yeah.
blank. It's here are the three options, which is your preference. And then if you have a special case where they're like, hey, actually, I really want to take this thing, then great, drive that, let them drive it, but at
True.
least give them that here's two or three options that we think that you should be completing by this timeline. And I love how you kind of put that timeline to it because again, to make it smart, we know you have to make sure that it's specific, measurable, and there's a time-bound component to it. And so that's one of the things that the major organizations are doing right now as it relates to, especially in today's world, tech transformation, AI. So the more the organizations that I'm seeing that are just progressing in leaps and bounds and so ahead of the pack are the ones that have that clear vision of
Yeah.
why and what they're doing. They have
Hmm.
that clear plan, that clear implementation, and then it rolls it back into, are we consistently evaluating? Are we seeing where we're at? Are we making sure our people have what they need to be successful? And that's my favorite kind of, honestly, things to
Yeah.
work with, anyways.
I feel like it also brings innovation to the organization because you will have more like more happier the employee is, like if they are having more time to grow, there'll be more curiosity to know more about like what else can how can I do better. Not everybody has that mindset, but most of them do. And it's more to like give them an opportunity to maybe raise those questions is like know more. It's also good for the employee to know learn more about it, like get more skilled, get more skills, more stuff that you can know about making your job better day by day and make a difference to the team. It will look good on the manager, it will look good on the organization that you have more skilled, you have good retention, you have good skilled innovations are coming out. There's like I don't know, patents coming out of it, helping that way, and it's gonna make look both the parties better. It's a win-win for both, for
Yeah.
the person who's working as well as for the organization.
I love that. And one of the gurus I follow, he always talks about like your discretionary effort from your employees, your consultants of like, do you have their quote unquote shower time? Like, what are their shower thoughts about? And when you have that kind of owner mindset in your employees and consultants of like, hey, I took this training and it gave me an aha moment. I think there's a better way that we can do this. And
Yeah,
that's how organizations can see more innovation, like you said, in their day to day because people are thinking about work outside of work of like, how can I make this better? How can I improve?
yeah,
Not because they're afraid of losing their work, but because they care and they're
yeah,
excited.
absolutely.
All right, well, we've covered a lot of ground, so we'll start to wrap up. We always like to leave the audience with one actionable tip or takeaway. So, from your perspective, from your world, give us one thing that we can all do today to make tomorrow better.
One thing that I did today, like that is something recent, is like I like organizing my stuff. So if you have a clunky Excel, I think that I was working on something work related and it didn't appease to me. So I was like, okay, let's just clean this up. So like organizing, make sure if you are organized in your work, in your physical desk, and follow that through the week. Like make sure that we do this same thing every day, making sure that you have a to-do list, a task list that you can start off, and then just share it with your team and just how each one teach one, kind of like help move further. That's would be my one tip.
I love that. That's like three tips in one. So I organizing the chaos. So making sure
Yeah,
your stuff, your surroundings, and your work is organized. And then also you snuck in some continuous improvement in that because you're constantly refining and making it better. So I love that you took two into one,
yeah.
organizing the chaos and also, of course, continuous improvement. So love
Yeah.
it. Thank you so much for being with us today, Amruta.
Thank you, Amanda.
And with that, we'll begin to wrap up. So I hope this discussion gave our audience a few new perspectives, sparked some ideas, and left you with at least one takeaway you can put into action immediately. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and join us every Tuesday as we continue exploring learning, leadership, and what it takes to help people and organizations grow. And if today's conversation resonated with you, or if you'd like to join me for a future episode, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and let's talk again on Tuesday. Thanks, everyone.